We're gonna have a little tea party. This is my favorite tea right now. I actually made it special. I made custom teas, and this one was extra special because I made it for my future sister-in-law for her bridal shower. I love making custom teas for people for special events or just because I love them. All right, let's have a little chat. I'm also going to put on some of the manifestation oil because I'm feeling ungrounded, I'm feeling anxious, I'm feeling overwhelmed, feeling tired. This week is my birthday week. By the time you listen to this, my birthday will be tomorrow. And I've grown to have a complicated relationship with my birthday. I go into this actually in last week's podcast episode with my mom, but I grew up having really beautiful, intentional birthdays. But somewhere along the way, as I got older, I didn't think it was okay to celebrate myself or bring attention to myself. It felt dramatic, self-centered, attention-seeking, all these different things. Also, I had some traumatic things happen on my birthday, which can be another video maybe. I really had to have this relationship of coming back to celebrating myself and celebrating my birthday and letting September be my birthday month. And the week of my birthday being my birthday week, and really taking the time and space to slow down and be with that and connect to celebration and joy and acknowledging all that the year was. But regardless of all of that, my birthday still brings up a lot of emotions for me. A lot of a mix of emotions. Can still feel very melancholy, or I always feel vulnerable on my birthday. I feel soft and raw. I think that's a good word. I feel raw. I always let it steep about 10 minutes. Cheers. I'm a very reflective person. I reflect on things a lot, just naturally. And so when my birthday comes up and I reflect on the year that has passed, I think it's very easy for me to be hard on myself. I'm also very hard on myself. Can be self-critical or hold myself to high standards. And I think when, years pass and I'm not where I want to be or where I thought I would be or should be, that can be challenging for me. I've been thinking about what I wanted to talk about in this video, or just in regards to my birthday and my reflections, and it's been really challenging for me. I mean, I have a lot, I could say. I have a lot of reflections I could share, a lot of lessons I've learned, and I think that will come in time. I do have a blog post on Substack coming out on my birthday about probably my biggest lesson from the last year. But so much of what was coming to me didn't feel quite right. One, because it felt like I was forcing it, and one thing I have definitely learned is that you cannot force the reflections. You cannot force the clarity. You cannot force the process of the integration and your thoughts and the lessons and the learnings. It comes when it comes. It's also because I don't feel like everything is quite processed for me. Like, I feel I really am ending a chapter and entering a new chapter, but what that new chapter is yet to be revealed. So I still feel like I'm in this unclear space, maybe this in between, but I decided I'm just going to share some thoughts that are very real and raw and vulnerable, and not overthink it and not perfect it, and be okay with being a little vulnerable to the online world. Honestly, so much of my heart and soul and life is, when I think of my life vision and all my goals, they're pretty much all centered around my business. Because for me, my business is very much my lifestyle, how I want to structure my life, and the two feel very intermeshed. How I live my life is what I do with my business, if that makes sense. Especially the long-term vision of where I'm working towards. So when things with my business don't feel like they're moving fast enough or getting there, or I'm quick enough, or I'm lacking clarity around my business or progress, it feels very challenging for me. And it's easy to compare ourselves to people online and in our real lives. I'm turning 28, and obviously I know that that's very young. But there are many people in my life who are farther along in their career or are making more money or X, Y, and Z. And it can be easy to look at my path and feel disappointed or disheartened and to question myself, because I know that there are different routes I could take that would appear like I'm going somewhere faster, whether that's working for someone else or just doing things differently with my business. But I've tried all those things and I know they're not for me. Also, there's this rhetoric around those years of the pandemic where, so many people did take off with their business, or they really focused on progress with certain areas of their life. And for me, the pandemic was treatment. I spent pretty much all of the pandemic in treatment for my eating disorder and moving through all of that. And I couldn't focus on work. I think that's the very real reality, that I didn't have the capacity, the brain space, the energy, the life force to focus on anything but survival for a large chunk of my 20s. And because of the journey I went down, that's how I know myself so well. Because alongside that, while I was in treatment, the rest of that time was spent finishing my yoga therapy degree, working with an herbalist, getting certified in human design, like doing all the different things that I now do, honing in on my learning and my researching. And I very much had to disconnect from the outside world. I also had no social media the whole time I was in treatment. But those two things combined have allowed me to be the person I am today and have this spiritual self connection that I have today, and to be able to help people in the way I am today and show up in my life the way I am. And so different areas of my life, I do feel really progressed on and clear on and grounded in. In other areas, I'm not as far along in the way that I want to be. But those are the areas that society deems as important and successful, like relationships and money. And so something I keep having to remind myself, and that I know, is that you can't rush the timing of your life, and your timing is perfect. Your timing is exactly what it needs to be. And ultimately, the message I keep getting is that this is the timing it needs to be. Because even when I have moments where I doubt myself and my path and all my choices, there's something that brings me back that says there's no other option for you. This is the path and you're going to get there. I think a lesson for all of us is, how can we let where we are be okay? And of course, we have to keep taking the action in the direction we want to go. Because like I was saying before, how we can't rush the reflection process. We can't rush the clarity. We can't rush the intentions. And I shared this in the intention episode on the YouTube, which is that our intentions can't come from our mind and from needing to control. They have to come from our intuition. And same with our actions towards our intentions, our actions towards our goals and our dreams. We think that they have to be from our mind, designed and controlled, but really they're also supposed to be intuitive. They're also supposed to be embodied and connected, because otherwise they're just from what we think we should do or what we've been told to do. So I've been in this place, and it's come up a lot for me since I've started my business, of I know my end goal. I know my intention overall, the overarching general intention when it comes to my business. I know what it is. I know what I want. And I want to get there, and I'm ready to get there. But I've yet to gain clarity on the next step. My intuition has yet to tell me the next step. And so how do I let that be okay? How do I soften into that? And it's extra challenging when you're trying to support yourself, you're trying to make money. And of course, we have to put our safety, our fundamental needs as priority. But putting that aside, how do we then let the space be okay? How do we let the unknown be okay? How do we let the not there yet and the not knowing yet be okay. Especially as I've gone through recovery and gotten to where I am now, in this place where I have the energy and I have the life force and I have the mind focus and the mind space to prioritize and pour into my business. I want to, and I'm ready to do that. And it's exciting to have that capacity. And then yet still sometimes I feel like I'm in this holding zone of like, but what's the next step? And I've been engaging in this ritual the last few days. It just really hit me recently. And I feel like it's going to be a foundational ritual for me for at least the next few weeks of writing at the top of my journal, universe, what would you have me know? Or what would you reveal to me? And just stream of consciousness journaling and seeing what comes out and saying, I am open. I'm open and ready. Universe, please bring me the next step. And this conversation with the universe is fairly new to me. I'm starting to feel like this connection to my intuition, this connection to the universe or to God or a higher power, whatever you want to call it, they're one and the same. They're connected. And same with my connection to nature. You know, it all has that spiritual, sacred energy to me that connects me deeper to myself. And bringing in all those support systems helps me feel more trusting and helps me feel more supported, because otherwise it can feel really easy to feel on your own in all of it, even when you have people supporting you, because no one else can give you the answers or give you the exact path but yourself, because your path is going to be different than everyone else. So as I'm arriving into this birthday week and this transition from one chapter to the next, I'm just letting myself soften. I'm letting the space be okay. I'm intentionally choosing to stop trying to figure it out, to stop trying to push myself forward or move myself forward, and to just be curious with what comes in the empty space. And that requires so much trust in myself, so much trust in the universe. Not only trust that those answers will come, but also trust I'll hear them and know what they're saying. But also trust in myself that I will then take the action and move forward. Even if it's terrifying or not what I wanted or not what I expected, once something comes to me and I get the intuitive knowing of this is the direction to move forward in, I will do it, and I trust myself to do that. And I think so much of life is this contrast between action and resting and softening and solidifying and structure and ease, and they go together, and then there's a focus on one versus the other. Maybe different areas of our life are looking differently in those capacities. But what's challenging is when you're ready to, you feel energetically like you want to be one way, but the world or the universe around you is telling you something different. And how do you let that be? Are my ramblings making sense? Honestly, I share all of this because I think that there's something here for all of us. I think we all have those areas of our lives where we don't feel like we are where we want to be, or those times in our lives when we look back and reflect and are disappointed or frustrated or overwhelmed or unclear. I think we all are constantly battling with where our brain is telling us we should be or what our brain is telling us we should do, and not being able to bring that into our reality at that moment. And so why? What is the lesson here? What is the... And not even, again, trying to figure out the lesson or trying to figure out how can we just let it be? How can we just be curious? How can we just create the space to see what is revealed to us? And of course, I harp on this all the time, but I think the way to do that is by intentionally engaging in rituals that slow us down, that force us to soften, that are in silence. It's the silence, it's the disconnection from stimulus that allows us to reconnect to that energy within us that wants to tell us something, that wants to reveal something to us. And so, yeah, right now I'm feeling a little sad, a little melancholy, but I think that rawness I'm feeling is what is giving me the last needed push to surrender and soften this week, and to allow there to be space, and to allow that to be okay, and to allow it to be what it is. Next week, we move into a big full moon eclipse energy and the autumnal equinox. And both of those signify new chapters starting. So all that I'm talking about is for everyone. And maybe instead of creating designated time to reflect, it's just about creating designated time to be in silence and to create space to connect to ourselves and to just be open and curious about what comes through from that. Thanks for joining me for this little tea chat. Nothing too exciting today. I had different visions for what this video would be, but I didn't have the energy for it. And honestly, I think practicing just being stripped back and raw in all the ways is important for all of us, especially for where I'm at right now. So if anything stuck with you or struck you or was revealed to you through this little tea chat, I'd love to hear about it. Thanks for joining me for this tea party.